Hi, I'm Kat. Welcome back to my channel. I guess, maybe. Well, at some point in the future, there's a possibility I might have more than 11 subs and somebody's watched a video of mine and come back. So I'm going to say it. I'm going to say that. Hi, I'm Kat. Welcome back to my channel. I'm hoping all of this stuff works. I have 3 cats coming in and out of this room. I actually don't remember the exact date. I think it was mid-August that I got my wheelchair last year. So it's been nearly a year that I've had a wheelchair. It's been much longer that I've needed a wheelchair. I need to do a little bit of maintenance on this chair, so I thought I will show the tools I use and show what I've done. This is really, really similar to most lower end chairs that are that foldable or otherwise. So this is the Etech Mobility. I think it's mid-range, so it was 800 something pounds base, and then up to 1,000. I think it was £1,000 with a large battery, and it came in 3 colours. And this is a super lightweight version. So I won't say it's affordable, but it's the attainable that I could potentially pay back, potentially save up for most people. And I'm an ambulatory wheelchair user, and I use an electric wheelchair. 30% of wheelchair users are ambulatory, which means that I can walk, move my legs. That was weird. That's a weird thing to do. It's a bit like, I heard someone describe it, it's a bit like using glasses. Are you totally blind when you take your glasses off? No, probably not. But there's only a certain distance that you can see to and from, which is the same for me in walking. Well, being upright, really. I do have some kind of physical mobility stuff, but anyway, you don't need to know that. But yeah, I'm an ambulatory wheelchair user, so I can move my legs around, and therefore I don't think I would qualify. Well, aside from this, I don't think I would qualify on the NHS to be able to get an electric wheelchair, just simply because my house has a step at the front of it. My rented house has a step at the front of it, not that I have a choice in that. What I'll do is I'll put timestamps in the video for people that are looking for more practical ways of getting into parts of this wheelchair and actually tightening all the bolts and whatnot. I'll put timestamps in. Because I'm fixing this, but I'm also kind of thinking back to this time last year and how I felt with the idea of needing a wheelchair, especially as it felt like I had a choice. It felt like there was a decision to be made as an ambulatory wheelchair user. Now I realise there was no choice. I absolutely need a wheelchair, and I needed a wheelchair at the time, probably more than I do now. And I can't do things without it. There was lots of things that I just wasn't doing. So you might hear clinks and clanks, and you might hear some little voices maybe in the background. I don't know what this is picking up. I'm hoping that it's not picking up feedback. Believe it or not, I have a master's in film making. Look at the butt. Oh, this is Ophelia. She's there. You can't see her. She's there. Can't see that, can you? No. So yeah, I want to show you my tools, and I'm going to show my tools. I've got my cola, got my diet cola, my diet soda, and I've got my Etech Mobility wheelchair. And I do like my wheelchair a lot. The things that frustrate me about this wheelchair are the same things that frustrate me about being disabled in an inaccessible world, a world that claims to be accessible, that should be accessible, that is very happy to be casually ableist, essentially dismiss people in terms of dismissing their accessibility and dismissing their importance in terms of being present in the world. This wheelchair, because it's so light and because it's foldable, it's really prone to the nuts and bolts coming loose and away. And that's just with the vibration of being on tarmac, being in the street. But it's made worse by he's called the vampire Lestat. it's made much worse by the drop curbs that aren't really drop curbs, that are like this, or they're like wonky, so you have to kind of go up one side, and or the ones that are too steep, or the ones that are like, and or the tarmac's really, really bumpy in this area, or there's like a random hole in the pavement. I'll show you what I keep in the chair and what it came with. I like having this like bum bag here, which is really helpful. I actually paid 20 quid or something for a cover that goes on here and you put your hand in, and it was like reinforced plastic and it was really sturdy, and I didn't like that. I didn't like that it was sturdy, and I didn't like how big it was and like cumbersome, and it felt awkward. So I just used like a luggage bag, like a mail bag. If it's raining, I've only been really, I mean, I don't go out much. So to be caught in the rain, I wouldn't intentionally go out when it's really, really heavily raining. I didn't need to. So I've only been caught in the rain a few times. But that's why you need to cover the actual motor on the wheels is waterproof, so it's fine. The other thing I've done is, it's a bit tatty now. The other thing I've done is put some, these are for like buggies, and they're like bag holders for buggies. So they're just what's the word? Carabiner. I should know that. They're just like Velcro. That I like this bag because it's got pockets at the sides that are thin, so you can put bottles and things in them. So I did have like a cup holder, but a lot of the time, like doorways and stuff is only the size of the chair, so you have a cup holder on the side of it. It's not like on buses and things. There's something in there as well. So what it came with, oh, that's an umbrella. Oh, that's sun lotion. Okay. So it does come with this pocket, like quite a large pocket on the back, that you can use as a bag. And then it comes with this little load of tools. I think it came with, what are these called? What are these called? What are these called? What are spanners? I know tools. So, and then a load of Allen keys, and these that are also spanners. These, because I know tools. And then I put a couple of screwdrivers in, and I can't remember why. Still think some screws on this. Don't remember why. Then I noticed some of where the battery is being held here. There's these areas, these connecting areas, and they're also the parts that make it foldable, and they are so prone to coming loose from vibration, so much so that I've lost 2 of them. That's the second one I've lost recently. So I got myself that handy packet of these, what do you call them? Nuts and bolts, which is what all parts of my wheelchair are connected by. So only really those long ones, to be honest. But I keep it because it makes me feel really like an accomplished tool user. If you want to feel like an accomplished tool user, get a large packet of. It doesn't actually say what they are. Then I got myself like this. It's got the word man on it though. I don't know why. Ratcheting screwdriver set, and it's got an Allen key. TikTok shop got me with that one. It's great though because I can take bits off if there's an awkward area, and it's ratcheted. If you're in a wheelchair, I mean, I'm a single parent. You buy a wheelchair because you realise you need one, and then there's all this maintenance that has to be done to it, including having quite strong wrists, sometimes needing more than one person. It's the irony, really, that would be the case. So I think I'll start with the really easy part, which is to tighten up the foot. What do you call it? The footrest. So this bit gets wobbly all the time. This is where my feet go. This side's got a knot, and this should fit. Now it needs the smaller one. Now what? A bit of thread. Stop eating that. Stop. What? Have you swallowed it? It's gone. It's gone. So I'm going to take the other little bits off this and have it like that. So I now have it like this, and I can just about fit it in there, just about. I mean, ideally it would be shorter. And then I'll get the smallest spanner and see which one fits. Thank you so much, Lestat. You are so helpful. Just helpful bestie. Here we go. Right. Even littler to do that way. Okay, thank you, darling. Get yourself in a really aggressive cat. I know he doesn't seem aggressive. That's how they get you, though. Right. I don't know if I can even do this. Oh, great. Thank you. Yeah. So, staying as much as I can. Oh, I think maybe I'll use the Allen key for the back too. Honey. Girl. Okay. So I'm going to use an Allen key because it's shorter in this area. Righty tighty, lefty loosey. Oh, that's righty, right? Okay. Now I've got a good grip of it. Okay, so I've got this and this for these smaller ones. Now you can see on this one, I mean you can't actually, that's a lie. This nut is so far out, so I've lost one of these before just simply from the vibration of movement on the pavement. That'll be gone soon. But you can see even just with the tightening of one, that now lifts up and stays, and it didn't before. So we shall do the same thing on this side. It's in my way. Thanks. Girls. Okay, that's as tight as I can do it. And it's nice and stiff. It will actually stay up if I want it to. Another part that I always end up having to do is this part. By this part, here you can see it's already coming apart here. These are probably the most load-bearing areas, I would say. The wheels are attached to them. So what happens is when they become looser and looser, when you put your body weight on, the wheels almost go at a different angle. And I mean, it can't be good for the chair, right? So these need tightening all the time. And the way you get them off is you can see that there's two of these usually, these little indents. Oh, that's why I've got a screwdriver. I remember now. I remember now why I've got a screwdriver. So I can do it with this little bit as well. The reason I've got a screwdriver, you flick them out. Yes, very good, Ophelia. And there they are. And the same on the other side. So we can access our nut and a bolt. And normally you see them like that and that. I think I've lost my this side. So I think this is slightly bigger. Yes, yes. For some reason, the second. So actually, I might be lying. That might not be what they gave me. I might just have that. But that doesn't fit anything. So use the spanner, and that I can usually hold in. I should probably buy one of these types of spanner. But I tell you what, I wouldn't know what to Google. So if I hold this in place and use the Allen key on the other side, that usually works. But this is where I love the ratcheted one. That one fits. It just makes it so much easier to tighten it properly. This, I'm not sure if this will even carry on working. I'm tightening these parts. So I'll just do that quickly. But I did want to, oh, what was I talking about? This time last year, I was realizing that I needed a wheelchair. I didn't realize I had POTS, which is the main reason I need to not stand. And it was really, really bad. I mean, it still is really, really bad, but it was, but I'm medicated now. And so it's a lot more, it's not so extreme. So I have ME, and I thought my ME was getting worse, which it was, but it was getting worse because I had undiagnosed POTS, or postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, and I didn't realize. And my fatigue days were really, really getting unmanageable. 22 hours plus a day of sleeping, like uncontrollably. And then when I was awake and I was dragging myself out once a week to go to a home ed meet with my child, just so he had some socializing time. I couldn't, like, I was so weak, I couldn't lift my arms. And so I couldn't do things like, I haven't painted since that time, like since February of last year, and not properly anyway. And then I haven't done like so many things. And missing that massive part of me, which was creativity, was really difficult, really depressing. So to not even be able to lift my arms, to move papers around, or what I'd noticed especially was to go to my wardrobe and move clothes. So, and obviously like to be that fatigued, like everything was exhausting. So I couldn't, I really was putting all my energy into just keeping myself clean, and the basic stuff like actually being able to take my son outside the house. And so I wasn't doing anything else. And I have a cleaner who comes she was coming every week because I was so unwell. Balanced my tablet on the shoe, like a wedge heel. And my cat keeps moving it. This one. So not only had I lost painting, and just being awake to enjoy anything. When I was awake, I didn't have any concentration. I'd stopped watching television. I couldn't watch anything that had any kind of storyline that I had to pay attention to. And I'm still trying to do my PhD at this point. But how do you explain to somebody, I can't read, because that takes too much effort, and that effort is tiring. The level of concentration I need to read is not there. And actually, and I did write where I was up to in terms of my health, and it's like, well, you know, they're going to ask you to sleep if you say that. So, and eventually realizing that that was just a reality. You can only have so many. You want to leave? You can only have so many reasonable accommodations before it becomes unreasonable. Before it's not something that you are working on, you're just not working anymore, and so they can't continue to pay you. And that was what it was for me. So when I realized, I started thinking, oh, actually, would a wheelchair make this better? Am I that ill? Bit size. What we're missing. Oh! Oh God. Okay, that's nice. That's nice and tight. Right. So we put the doodads back on. Doodads. This doodad and this doodad and this doodad, because I don't know where the fourth one is. Saw it on the floor once. I thought, I bet that's supposed to be on my wheelchair somewhere. I don't know where I put it. I'm going to try anyway to tighten the areas around my battery, which are the foldable joins. Sometimes I go out and the cat's like, "Where are you bringing my bed? Why would you leave me with my bed? Where would you bring my bed to?" Oh, oh, I went lefty loosey. Oh dear. I spoke to some friends. One of them has a child in a wheelchair, and an adult child in a wheelchair, and I said, "Well, when do you know it's the right time to get a wheelchair?" So when you ask that question, and the other thing, I was online, a kind of mutual friend on TikTok who had answered that same question. Said someone told them that people who don't need wheelchairs don't fantasize about them, which I thought was really interesting because that made so much sense. The way I was fantasizing about having a mobility aid to be able to do basic things that I couldn't do currently. And it makes so much sense. Like, it's so obvious now, but at the time it wasn't. And I think, yeah, and it seems so silly now that it wasn't obvious to me that I needed a wheelchair, I needed to buy a wheelchair. I think I wanted validation that I was ill enough, but I didn't want to be ill enough. And I think I had considered myself disabled before, but being visibly disabled is a very different experience, and symbolically another layer of internalized ableism that I have to counter. I think it's the interesting thing about ableism as opposed to racism or any other prejudice is that, well, I suppose there's hate groups for people that hate disabled people, but anybody can become disabled and inevitably will. If you live long enough, you'll become disabled. But it's so inherent and it's so wrapped up in capitalism and neoliberalism, and it's so wrapped up in the like general worldview that people don't counter because they don't see it as hate, because it's all unconscious bias. It isn't quite seen the same, and it's certainly not as taboo to be openly ableist. So as disabled people, you have to kind of fight your own internalized ableism on your own as well, because actually the attitude from the general public is still ableist. It's still, to be productive is to be of worth, and that if you're accepting the fact that you can no longer be productive, that you're giving up or you're defeatist or whatever it is, and that you're never trying hard enough. That somehow it's more heroic to be without an aid than it would be with it. But also it's a symbol of failure, and it's a symbol of the fork in the road between that your health will somehow get better and that your health will only ever get worse than this because now you have a wheelchair. And I only got over that by using my wheelchair, by realizing what it actually symbolizes to me, which was freedom. And one of the most evident parts of that was that I could look after myself again to enough to get enough energy back to creatively play with clothes again, to play with the way I looked again, to put makeup on occasionally, to be able to wash my hair and blow dry it so it was down, because I wasn't doing any of that. So that was my takeaway. And one of the first times I took it out, my son didn't want to come to the shop with me, and I was nervous. It was like the first time I've been outside on my own, and I was really nervous. So I knocked on the neighbour's door, and they had a 4-year-old, and I said, "Oh, does she want to come to the shop? It's just around the corner." She's like, "What's that?" And then the next day, her mum was telling me, oh, she's asking for one for Christmas now. She wants one. She's saying, oh, she wants a magic carpet like Kat. Okay. Magic carpet. And other people see the chair. Other people are weird with me. I've been prayed over in the street. Like the inaccessibility of everywhere is absolutely disgusting. The way people don't care is worse. Makes me so angry. Men are more horrible to me and more dismissive of me. Like I've actively been abused in the street. And they don't, I think it's all unconscious. I don't think they realize they're doing it. But there's definitely a difference between being visibly disabled and being invisibly disabled to the general public's point of view. But the level of freedom that has given me just to not be consumed by the uncomfortableness of my body being outside, just to be like when I'd spoken to my friends and, you know, had that validation and feedback and been like, okay, yeah, I do need a wheelchair. Me and my son went to the shop and they have a mobility scooter that you can use and it's painfully slow. And I went and used it with the idea of like thinking about how I would feel without it and how I feel now in it. And I realized how irritable I had been in situations like that of just like, let's just get home, because at some point I was either going to vomit or faint. And it really felt like that, and like the whole time. So I couldn't have a conversation with my son. I couldn't have a conversation with anybody. I couldn't dilly dally or browse. I couldn't do any of that stuff. And a lot of the time, bearing in mind is 10 meters away, the supermarket next door. I would have to get it delivered to my home because I couldn't. I'd been putting off going to the post office, which is less than a minute's walk, because I knew I just couldn't be upright for that long. I just didn't want to face any of it. But now I love my wheelchair, and I love that it's given me so much of my personhood back. It's given me enough back that, I mean, I had to leave my PhD and it never get, you know, I couldn't get that back. I couldn't get a level of health where I wanted to be again. It's given me a quality of life that I didn't have before, and for my child. And I think if anything would push me out of that internalized ableism, it's taking responsibility to use the mobilities that I need so I can be more present for my son, especially as a home educating parent and single parent. It's just unbelievable, the change. And I think coming up to a year makes me realize how grateful I am for my wheelchair. And to me, it doesn't symbolize this horrible moment in my health deterioration. It's none of those things. It's like, I think it's kind of punk. I think there's something anti-establishment about engaging in celebrating my disability and the aids that I need to feel myself again. And because it's given me my personality and my personhood back so much, I think almost like part of dressing is like the fact that I have this gold wheelchair, and I always call it Schrodinger's wheelchair user, because you're both invisible and everyone's staring at you. It's a really weird situation, and people have real difficulty with their own discomfort. But I remember being that person, and it's kind of silly to me now because it's just a chair. You've never seen someone sit in a chair. Like, if I didn't move, if I just sat in the chair, you wouldn't notice. Ow. My ankle. There we go. I say bye from this low angle. There we go. All nice and fixed up and firmer slightly. Yeah, thanks for listening if you did. And I'm bad at goodbyes. They're normal goodbyes. I'm gonna be bad at YouTube goodbyes. Okay, bye.